Hello, everybody. Welcome to a 2024 NFL mock draft by me. I'm going to start posting draft-related stuff as we get closer to the drafts. I'm really starting to dive into it. Last year, I was pretty into it, and then this year, I've been doing my research, looking at a lot of stuff, listening to a lot of stuff as well. So I want to do my own little mock draft here. I already have it pre-done, and I have explanations and honorable mentions. You will get through a bunch of players. Like, obviously, we have the first round, which is just 32 players, but I'll be talking way more than just 32 players. I'll be talking about a variety of different players at a variety of different picks. There is trades. I don't use them often, just kind of throughout the top like 10 or so, and we'll just hop right in. I think I need to stop talking and get right into it. So this is a highly anticipated trade down spot for the Arizona Cardinals, and I didn't know who I'd have moving up, so I started to look a little further down than just the top 5 picks or so, because I don't really know, nothing really struck me, nothing really took my mind over and said, hey, let's trade up. Now I know this is a bit far down and probably not likely, but the Atlanta Falcons would be trading up 10 spots to Arizona. I don't know if Arizona wants to take that big of a hit, but if you get a good enough offer, there's only so much you can turn down. And this mock draft simulator, you can't like just put in 5 future first round picks, moving from 11 to 1. And Atlanta I'll have doing that. Obviously, it wouldn't be the exact trade, and they'd be taking Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. Pretty good explanation. He's not quite generational, but he does a lot of things that we have never seen, coming out of the draft. As polished as it is for him, his decision making is a little bit up in question right now. And it's not like Caleb Williams is kind of that, end all be all, or like he could be a bust or he could be good. And Drake May is that sure thing. Drake May's got a bunch of question marks, and I feel like people have kind of looked at him as the reliable or the for sure pick. That's just not the case. They're both kind of not toss ups exactly, but there's a very elite quality to both of these guys. But either one of them can flop and end out of the league here in 5 years, whatever it is. At number 2 here for the Bears, rushing ability has been a part of that offense. Not a whole lot will change with Drake May. He's got a lot of mobility and athleticism, great mind for the game. He does a lot, for North Carolina, despite not having a whole lot around him. He doesn't have the best offensive line. He put up still great numbers last year. He's definitely in the conversation for the number 1 overall pick, which is kind of not getting talked about enough. I feel like he's very involved in that number 1 draft choice, conversation, but I don't know. Not a whole lot of people tend to be pointing that out, other than like there's the few people, obviously. Then this next pick, there will be a trade. So in the mock draft sim here, we're moving up 4 picks, Green Bay to Chicago. I know NFC North to NFC North, it's probably not likely. We saw some divisional trades these last years, and I don't think it'd be too surprising just to see a team move up, especially when you're paying a price. So Green Bay 1, and then the 47th overall pick projected at this point, and a next year's 2nd. It would probably be a little bit more expensive in real life. So I have the Green Bay Packers moving up to 3, taking a guy like Olu Fashanu, franchise tackle that works so well in pass pro. And hey, if you're going to stick with Jordan Love, if those top 2 guys are off the board, both Drake May and Caleb Williams, you're gonna move up to 3. You're gonna grab Olu Fashanu, elite footwork. He's just gotten better through his whole college career and is a very phenomenal guy. Moves so well for his size. We're moving to number 4 here. Few things to consider here. Joe Alt is one of my favorites. I love him. He's very polished and ready for the NFL. But I'm gonna take Marvin Harrison Jr. There's no negatives with Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe his size. You might want him to be Calvin Johnson sized, and I heard that from Trevor Sikkema, so I'm not taking credit for that. You got freaking Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4, which in my opinion is great value, but you definitely could have gone Joe Alt in a more needed spot, as Evan Neal really hasn't showed up. And yes, he could take a couple years to develop, but you can also put him at guard and let him do what he does best, and that's in the run game. So you could kind of move Neal to guard, and it wouldn't be as big of a deal. Not exactly a draft bust yet, or I'm not anticipating him to be. He could still be a great tackle in the league with another year or 2 under his belt, but he could also stay at where he's at, and that's not very good. Slide him into guard, draft a tackle, whatever it is. So I'm just saying this is also a dream scenario for the New England Patriots, as I would take Joe Alt here. Like I said, very solid tackle. Now I could see Brock Bowers in this spot, and he is an honorable mention at this pick. And I don't know, I just think that the Patriots would be super lucky to get a guy like Joe Alt at this spot in a much needed position. Now the Rams up on the board, sure, they probably would like to trade down if they could acquire a little bit more assets, and if they want to just stick and pick, they think that they're a contender still. it could get interesting with what they do. I ended up going Jared Versus. I think he's probably just the most NFL ready guy immediately. He's not a safe pick or anything like that. Any of these guys can really underperform. In fact, I don't even think he's the best edge rusher in this class. It's probably Laiatu Latu, but just too many injury concerns involved with his name, and that is why he's only an honorable mention at the spot, along with Dallas Turner and Brock Bowers. Even I had as a honorable mention at the spot, but I liked you to get better at D-line if you're the Rams, other than picking Brock Bowers. If you don't have, if Matt Stafford retires or whatever, you can kind of move on. But if you're gonna have like a young Carson Wentz, even just got signed to the Rams too, by the way. Now Chicago already got Drake May at quarterback, and that's not a for sure thing, but you're gonna absolutely swing for the fences here. Go Laiatu Latu. Just talked about him as probably being the edge number 1 in this class, the consensus edge number 1. I really like that, and with medical, sure, he might end up sliding to even the back end of the first round. I could see him going in the 20s. But like I said, if you're going to swing, you're going to hit with Latu. It's just kind of that concern of re-injuring himself, and just a lot of things can happen with Laiatu Latu, and you're kind of betting on that not happening, taking him at number 7. Another trade down spot for the Chicago Bears if they would like, but didn't really find a trade partner I'd be happy with. This next spot is a very fun pick, in my opinion. JJ McCarthy to the Buccaneers. Now this has to be a certain way. I have to slate it. I have to defend this pick because I know a lot of you guys won't like it. I'm predicting JJ McCarthy to have a solid or really good end of the college football season. They are at number 9 Penn State this upcoming week, I think, and then at Maryland, and then at at home versus Ohio State. And then they have the college football playoffs and finals, whatever, all that good stuff that they intend to get to, or that we are predicting they will be involved in, and very tough matchups. And if JJ McCarthy plays through all that and is sound all as well, then he might just be a top 10 pick. We could be talking about him in a totally different way. If it goes the other way, he could be a 2nd round pick. He could be a day 2 guy pretty easily. But if he gets through this tough slate of competition and looks good, seems well, all is fine, JJ McCarthy could be a top 10 pick pretty easily. The Brock Bowers slide ends now. Brock Bowers goes all the way back to number 9. I know you say all the way back, and as a tight end, you get picked 9th overall. He's amazing. I've heard and read great things about Brock Bowers. I haven't watched anything on any of these guys yet. I think I've only watched Drake May for a game, Caleb Williams, and kind of just the bigger names that you kind of just can't help but watch. But a guy like Brock Bowers, there is no one that is talked more highly about in this draft than possibly Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers. It's a deathly combo at the top of these draft classes. You have a a generational, a lot of people use that pretty loosely, wide receiver, QB, and tight end. A lot of those conversation has been out on Caleb Williams, so it's just Brock Bowers and Marvin Harrison that are kind of the consensus, like blue chip, really, really good players. And so Denver gets themselves one at number 9 with Brock Bowers. Now, don't get me wrong, I could see Denver moving in a different direction with either Bo Nix or a guy like Malik Neighbors, who is a potential franchise wide receiver. I don't really know what the consensus is on Malik Neighbors about now. A lot of people are up on him, and I liked him ever since I read his draft profile. Really solid guy. Keon Coleman is kind of like slipping down. He's had a couple good games. He is like a go up and get it guy, and I just think that you'd like a more polished all-around receiver in Malik Neighbors, in my opinion, is the better guy. And so that would probably be my next pick. And then Bo Nix is kind of like a fun throwaway pick, if you will. Like if you wanted to really just like shoot for the stars, you could go Bo Nix, but I don't think that that's really in the cards here. At number 10 for the Tennessee Titans, who do I have here? I do have someone that isn't so highly rated in this mock draft simulator here, but Talise Fuaga, someone that definitely could go in the top 15, let alone top 10 is where I have him going. But the offensive tackle out of Oregon State has had one hell of a rise this season, and he'll be taken at number 10. Just a good, nasty tackle for the Tennessee Titans, as they need major improvements there. They've got got guys like Andre Dillard and Nicholas Petit-Frere, and they even sat him for someone else who I can't even remember at this point. I was just talking up Malik Neighbors, and where did he go? Here he is. He'll get taken to the Arizona Cardinals, who were in the question pretty early, or were in the conversation for Marvin Harrison Jr. as they traded out of that number 3 spot, and they slide all the way down here to 11. Still acquire Malik Neighbors, a very solid wide receiver, very sound. And the only other people I could think of here is like McKinstry, if you wanted to bolster that secondary, which I don't think is as important right now as getting Kyler Murray a weapon like Malik Neighbors, and also JC Latham is someone that you could consider here. And yeah, just moving on to Washington. Washington, I just went Dallas Turner. You lost 2 very valuable edge rushers in Chase Young and Montez Sweat. You get their contracts off the books, whatever it is, and you want to refresh, you want to go young. Go Dallas Turner here. He's my favorite edge rusher on the board remaining. Chop Robinson, a lot of people do like, and I like quite a bit. And I'm not even a huge fan of Dallas Turner either. And I'd just rather have Dallas Turner here. He's got that explosiveness, and who knows who starts from on the other side. Clemson's KJ Henry was actually doing pretty well, so we'll see how he kind of pans out, because Ron Rivera was also talking about they wanted to see who they have as like depth edge rushers, and he probably thought high of maybe another guy. I don't know if Ridgeway plays like 3 tech or edge. I'm not 100% sure. They just have guys there, and to partner whoever's there up with Dallas Turner, and then you obviously have the spectacular Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen up the middle. Wouldn't be the worst thing ever. And my honorable mention here was Chop Robinson. Colts pick is up on the clock, and I just went ahead and did I do this? I did. Okay, so I went Kool-Aid McKinstry, play the other side. If Kenny Moore's going to play the slot, or Juju Brents wants to play the slot, whatever it is, you're going to have a complimentary piece in McKinstry, Kool-Aid McKinstry. I don't think that's his legal name. He is going to be wherever you need him, wherever he needs to play. You can make that cornerback room very strong, very good. Maybe people want receiver here, but like Keon Coleman was the guy, and I'm like, okay, that's basically Michael Pittman Jr. at this point. Sure, you don't have to extend him if you get it, whatever, all that you could put that in there, but I didn't even put him as an honorable mention. I put Cooper DeJean in there, who could slide back to safety as they have had injuries there. They have guys like Rodney Thomas who kind of play a safety linebacker hybrid. Cooper DeJean could play a corner DB, like any DB. All right, Cooper DeJean, I don't see him as a corner. I see him as a defensive back, all right, where he can play safety. He could play, in the box, closer to the slot. He can play outside. Cooper DeJean is a very good player, and that's very valuable, but I'd rather take a surefire corner like McKinstry at number 13, and he does have athletic concerns. I'm curious how he tests. I'm sure it'll be pretty good. Kool-Aid McKinstry, doing a great job hanging with high caliber competition in Alabama. Pretty easy pick for me. JC Latham here at 14 to the Raiders. Honorable mention just goes to Jerzon Newton. They could use a force from the inside, especially with one of their guys getting hurt. I can't remember. I just know they have Bilal Nichols there, and that's like the only notable name. Obviously Max Crosby, but I'm just talking interior, and Jerzon Newton kind of would have been fun here, but it just doesn't happen. JC Latham's a much more important and just a way more important position that is needed on this Las Vegas roster. I was talking about how good Cooper DeJean is here, and he will go at number 15 to the Arizona Cardinals. Like I said, he can play anywhere. And Marco Wilson, I think he actually slid back, or not Marco, they had Kevon Wallace who was playing, I don't know if it was nickel or slot, or that's the same thing, nickel or safety. So Cooper DeJean can come in and play outside. They are just at a lack of corner right now. Garrett Williams might close off the season pretty well. The Syracuse corner, I don't really know how this defense is going to play the rest of the season for the Cardinals, and if they get Kyler Murray back in the game, who knows, they might even win a few more games. So it's going to be interesting, but Cooper DeJean is the pick here at 15. Honorable mentions go to Amarius Mims to bolster up that offensive tackle or the offensive line just in general. And also Nate Wiggins. That would be the other guy I have here. A lot of people really like him. I like his length, and he's got good athleticism. Now we're going to go Graham Barton here, who is listed at tackle, probably switches to the inside interior at the next level. I don't think he's a franchise guard, tackle, any of that. He's a good player on the offensive line. You've seen your guys struggle, and you're done. You want Graham Barton to come in and bolster your offensive line alongside Elijah Vera Tucker when he's back. I don't know if you get a deal done with Mekhi Becton, but there's a few other names in there. I don't know if Max Mitchell's in your future plans, whatever it is, you're going to need offensive line. Grant Barton most likely could be your backup tackle and a starting guard, and maybe even a swing tackle if you'd like. So Grant Barton is an interesting player and a pretty safe one. So Grant Barton here at 16, I'm fine with that. Marius Mims probably would have been my next choice here at this pick. Moving on to LA, they have a dream pick in Jerzon Newton here. It's just something that is so, I don't know how Jerzon falls to him at 17. It seems too good to be true. And we've been talking about interior for the Chargers for the last like 2-3 years. They have had no presence on the inside. They're known to be pretty bad against the run, obviously. So you get a guy like that. And another guy I had maybe at this spot as an honorable mention would be Braylon Trice. If you really wanted to, if they wanted to trade down and get a guy like Braylon down the board, I'm sure they'd be just comfortable with that. But you get a guy like Jerzon Newton, he stays on, they're definitely sticking and picking Jerzon Newton. It would be too good to be true. He's more, I think he gets more pass rush to the interior as well. Look at the board, you still have your pick. Like, you are so happy for the Bills in this sort of scenario. Haven't really valued your receivers like I probably should have, as you know, coming up to this point. But Keon Coleman just complements the few guys they've got there. Khalil Shakir is really coming into his own, but Keon Coleman at this spot would be just amazing. That being said, you could look at Emeka Egbuka and Rome Odunze and say, hey, those are both great candidates for the spot as well. Maybe Rome, a little bit more of your polished receivers, but hey, you got Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs already. Why not just go grab Keon Coleman? It's more of a need at the prototypical receiver. Like, you have the elite separator. You have an elite receiver with Stephon Diggs, and you've got Gabe Davis, probably labeled as a deep threat at this point. And then Keon Coleman, just go up and get it. New Orleans is super stoked at this point. You might point out that they need edge. I don't think it's their actually number one need. Carl Granderson has played his ass off. It's actually incredible what he's been able to do this season. Hate to say this or be that guy. I called it. So I was able to pick him up in all my dynasty. I have IDP dynasty, which is individual defensive players, and dynasty leagues. Moving on, I don't think you guys care too much about that. We're going Chop Robinson to get someone this good and this different from Chop Robinson, or from Carl Granderson on the other side of Carl Granderson. To get Chop Robinson on one side and Granderson, it gives you so much versatility, and the edge rusher room would look pretty good with Brian Brzee on the inside, and you've got a few rotational other, defensive tackles. Cam Jordan's getting a little older at this point. Obviously, I think he's like 37 at this point. I'm obviously joking, but it's true. He's so old. Minnesota on the clock at number 20. I went Nate Wiggins here. I also, I was very close to picking Penix. I was like, man, do I want Penix? Do I want Wiggins? Blah, 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 blah. Last thing I came down to was definitely Wiggins, after they were talking about how much Kirk means to the team and everything like that. So if things do change, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And I wouldn't, shy away from the Michael Penix pick at all, or even a guy like Jaden Daniels, who should sneak into the first round at some point. He's very good. He's gone only up since he got to LSU. He's only gotten better, and that's what you love to see. It's a great quality in a quarterback. There are some flaws, but Jaden Daniels, man, he is... he's fun. If you're Dallas, you're super happy. You're getting Rome Odunze at 21. Probably, like I mentioned, just not valuing receivers as they should be. I don't think Emeka Egbuka is actually all that. I think he is a little worse than like a bona fide first round guy. I think he's probably later in the first and early second, but definitely could sneak in the first round. He's a very polished receiver. I really like him. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you get Rome Odunze at 21. Michael Gallup really hasn't played a whole lot of great football for you pre-injuries, and Brandon Cooks has been kind of a non-factor in that offense. This one's definitely going to surprise some people. I'm going Tyler Nubin here, strong safety. Sure, they have Keanu Neal, DeMonte KZ, but how much longer can you really be rotating those guys as they are getting a little older? And the Keanu Neal is more of a linebacker anyways, so you bring in Tyler Nubin to play alongside Minkah Fitzpatrick. He can learn a lot from Fitzpatrick, while Keanu Neal and guys like DeMonte KZ play in his role. And Nubin can kind of take his time, get get comfortable with the role, figure out what he's doing, everything like that. And I think that's a very good pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kalen King would be the other one I was gonna point out, and this one is just the easiest pick you'll ever have to make. Emeka Egbuka returns to CJ Stroud's quarterbacking, and Houston would just be super fun. Tank Dell and Egbuka. Like, Egbuka could obviously play outside. I think that'd be more ideal with Tank Dell in the slot. Maybe plays outside. And Nico Collins. I think John Mechie's pretty much rotational at this point. Bobby Trees, Robert Woods probably isn't going to be there his whole, the whole time. He's probably going to be gone here soon. So Emeka Egbuka, or Emeka. I call him Egmeka. I mean Emeka Egbuka. He's going to be here, and he'll be a great pick for the Houston Texans at 23. Someone I'm a personal fan of, I think we will only raise after he gets tested. Or tests through the combine thing, the whole process. Xavier Worthy's name should get elevated to a whole nother level. They might have Andre Ishvas there, who is developing as kind of a deep threat Princeton receiver. Last year was taken later in the draft, I believe 5th, 6th, 7th round range. I'm not 100% on all that. Correct me if you want. Xavier Worthy at number 24 to the Cincinnati Bengals is quite fun. I couldn't think of anything else really. They are very solid at safety right now. You could bring in a guy to play, like Sam Hubbard's getting older, Trey Hendrickson's obviously getting older and probably nearing contract extension range. So you could bring in Braylon Trice, JT Tuimoloau, one of those two, but I think they're more NFL ready. If you're going to take a guy, I think it'd be like a Chop Robinson or something like that to play rotational time and to learn and develop. But JT Tuimoloau and Braylon Trice are more NFL ready in my opinion. So I just said, hey, Xavier Worthy, like that would be electric with maybe the loss of T. Higgins this upcoming season as well. Who knows how long Tyler Boyd's going to be there. Xavier Worthy is an incredible athlete, and I just a lot to like about Xavier Worthy. Now Seattle, I had a lot of fun with. Bo Nix is just a fun one. All right, you look at Russell Wilson's role here. He was very active on the ground. Bo Nix brings you that dual threat type of guy, but can also throw the ball. Fun player. If you want to go look at his highlights, I watched a couple of his games. I watched the Washington and Oregon game. That game was fun to watch. Bo Nix was pretty, he got shouted out quite a lot. Michael Penix kind of just overdid Bo Nix's performance, especially coming out with that win. So Penix continues on the board, and Bo Nix will move forward with you at number 25. Sit behind Geno for a year or two, kind of learn and let Pete Carroll do his thing with him. San Francisco, this one was just way too easy. Amarius Mims, it's just a good pick. You guys can go look it up. Just a good tackle, high upside player as well. Someone you really like if you're San Francisco, picking at 26 overall. Amarius Mims is no question probably the easiest pick. And I also had Denzel Burke, maybe the corner out of Ohio State. I know Kalen King, I'm not a fan of his. All right, so sue me. He's on the board still. Maybe you Penn State fans or people that just like Kalen King in general might just want to shout him out. But Kalen King, in my opinion, just not. I wasn't overly due with him. Like he wasn't my favorite, so sorry about that. But his next pick here for the Dolphins, I went and looked at their depth chart, saw what they had. Zach Sealer's fine, Roquan Davis, all that good stuff. They've got Cam Wilkins obviously too, but Leonard Taylor just makes it that much better. Give me Leonard Taylor at this pick, 27th overall. A lot of upside with Taylor, but a lot of concerns as well. Probably could be a pretty bad NFL player, but taken here at 27 to an already spectacular Miami team. You can always plan for the future. You could do what the Eagles do, and you could go down the board, find the highest upside you can in a tackle or whatever you want to do, take him and stick with that. But you can only get more fun with Leonard Taylor. And Tuimoloau is kind of a bigger body. It's kind of just what Jacksonville needs right now on their defensive line. He's about 270. You have your outside linebackers in Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, but on the inside you have very miscellaneous names. Only Steady Eddie you have there is Devon Hamilton. I'm pretty sure he's coming up on a contract extension. Then you've got guys like Roy Robertson Harris, who got a pretty big deal done, actually. Surprised and good for him. And you just got a couple other names in there. Tyler Lacey, I think Oklahoma State guy came out last year. Whatever. I think JT Tuimoloau would fit this Jacksonville situation fine, and I think that he's probably just the best available pick for them, other than maybe Kalen King if they wanted to take corner. I think that's in the cards for him, but I don't like Kalen King. And well, the King slide ends now. So Kalen King gets taken with the Detroit Lions. It's not like what would I do? So I probably wouldn't even take Kalen King in the first round. I know I'm talking really bad about him, but it's fine. I'm still taking him here, and I like it for Detroit. You could go with a guy like Denzel Burke at this spot, but I just said screw it, and I let the Baltimore Ravens take Denzel Burke. Just plain and simple, need corner. You have one, and probably a first round caliber player. KC, this is where I went Patrick Paul. Just need someone that isn't Donovan Smith. Draws a penalty at least once a drive. The guy's insane. I don't know how they deal with it. I don't know how he isn't coached up better. He's so old. He's been in the league for so long. You just need to get a guy like Patrick Paul, someone in there to maybe learn for a year. But you can't have Donovan Smith just ruining your games, all right? Your drives that just look good and then get shade back. It's just annoying. And then Philadelphia couldn't get more fun than Adonai Mitchell. We'll do a nice little quick review. Caleb Williams at number 1, Drake May, and then Olu Fashanu trading up, obviously, or the Packers trading up for Olu, and then the Falcons trading up to number 1 overall is a pretty big jump there in logic. I don't think that it's very plausible right now, but we'll see as the season moves on. I'm pretty sure Falcons will be picking a little higher than 11 by the time that draft season comes around, so we'll see. But Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4 to the Giants would just be super fun. Joe Alt, Jared Verse to the Rams, Leatu Latu with a trade back from the Chicago Bears. Still get a very good player. JJ McCarthy getting taken inside the top 10. Hit or miss. Brock Bowers dropped all the way to 9. Pretty crazy. Talise Fuaga, or Talise, is a good player in my opinion. I liked what I see from him. Is just what you can read and you hear things about players, and it kind of gives you a false sense of security in the name, right? But I don't know, there's just something about Talise Fuaga that I'm on board with. And Malik Neighbors, after a trade down from 3, you still get a very high caliber receiver. I'm not in love with Malik Neighbors, but I really like the player. Dallas Turner at 12, don't really like the player. I love the situation though. Kool-Aid McKinstry, you're just bolstering up your secondary as you need, and JC Latham helps this Raiders out, or the Raiders team out, a lot. Cooper DeJean at 15, one of the better defensive players in this class. Graham Barton just helps the offense out. Drazon Newton's a huge value pick for the Chargers, in my opinion. Keon Coleman's fun. Chop Robinson at 19 might seem a little crazy to some of you guys. Nate Wiggins, just kind of solidifying your needs. And they even got Byron Murphy, and he hasn't even been that great this year. Romo Dunze this late, it's pretty fun. Tyler Nubin's a lot different than you probably normally see. Emeka Egbuka reunited with CJ Stroud, just too easy of a pick. Xavier Worthy, we should see his name explode. I love the guy. All right, I think I'm on board with Xavier Worthy. Bo Nix, it's just a fun situation with Seattle. Talked about drafting a quarterback last year with him. Like Hendon Hooker was pretty highly anticipated at Seattle towards the end, or as we came up on the draft. So I think Bo Nix is kind of in that same boat, maybe a little bit more of a project than Hendon Hooker was coming out. Hendon Hooker should still be a pretty project. We'll see how he ends up panning out if they move on from Jared Goff or wherever he ends up. But Amarius Mims, 26, great value for the 49ers. Leonard Taylor, fun pick for the Dolphins. And JT Tuimoloau kind of posting up on that defensive line. Kalen King, Denzel Burke, just 2 corners to 2 cornerback needy teams. Patrick Paul and Adonai Mitchell to end out the first round. Adonai should be super fun. I think he would work with that Philadelphia team quite well instead of guys like Olamide Zaccheaus. Quez Watkins is always hurt, and Patrick Paul just replace Donovan Smith. That'll be all for me. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, go down, subscribe, go watch any of the past content on the channel. Make sure you guys enjoy those as well. That'll be all for me. Thank you guys for watching. Deuces.